What is up, YouTube? It's your boy, back at it again. Today, I'm gonna be reacting to y'all's opinions on who y'all think is the most overrated player. So, Ben Littlefield. Boy, if you think it's me, Luka Doncic, you must be on crack. Because I average 29.1 points per game, 8.4 rebounds per game, and 9.1 assists per game. With a pretty good shooting percentage at 47%. So I don't know what you on about saying I'm overrated. Dame for MVP, I gotta agree with that. But you said Curry, not just playing. But seriously, I see everyone overrating Tyler Hero, and I can honestly agree with that. And I can speak from myself because I have him on my fantasy team, and I do see a lot of people overrating Tyler Hero sometimes because of what he did in the playoffs last season, and he's not really doing up to par to what people thought he was doing. I'm not saying he's doing bad, but people thought he was going to average like 20 points per game this season. He's getting like 17 points per game, which is good, but everything else isn't really good. And he needs to work on his shooting percentage and stop turning over the ball and just be a better team player. Shout out to Cool Trey Reacts, but he said, I think Ben Simmons, because his ability to not shoot is the reason why the 76ers aren't going to make the finals. So I think he is, of course, behind Steph Curry. Well, of course, he's behind Stephen Curry. But Ben Simmons, yeah, his shooting ability does need to get fixed fast, or else it will be a problem for 76ers. But honestly, he is overrated, but I don't think he's very overrated. I see how y'all are saying he's overrated because he doesn't really score as much as people think he does, apparently. But he is a really good finisher, and whenever he needs to lead his team, he can do so. And he's a really good defender, and some people a lot of times forget that. So I'm going to have to disagree with you a little on this one, but it's still a good take. Christian Wood said Anthony Davis. It depends. I would agree with this 2 weeks ago, but now that I think about it, Anthony Davis isn't really overrated, but he can be sometimes. When it depends on who's talking about him. Some people will talk about him like he's better than LeBron or up to par with LeBron, which he's not. He's nowhere near LeBron's level. And I think that Anthony Davis is just a little bit better than Christian Wood, to be honest. And I can see where you're saying Anthony Davis is overrated, but I don't think he's very much overrated. But I get where you're talking about because a lot of people did say that they thought he was going to win MVP, which is completely false. Mamba Forever said, this is coming from a Laker fan. I think Kyle Kuzma is the most overrated player in the NBA right now because he just stands there and doesn't contribute to the team. His numbers have been going down the past few years, and probably a lot has to do with, probably because AD and Braun came, but that's just me. I'm going to have to agree with this statement, and I'm going to have to agree because I remember last year in the playoffs, I remember the announcers agreeing with each other saying that Kyle Kuzma was the third best player on the Lakers, which he is definitely not. There's a lot more better players than Kyle Kuzma on the Lakers, and this was last year. And when you think about it, they had Rajon Rondo, Alex Caruso. They had multiple players on their team, and I think they're all better than Kyle Kuzma, so I have to agree with the statement. And yes, Kyle Kuzma is definitely overrated. Shout out to D'Angelo Russell. And you said Ben Simmons again. Like I said, he's overrated sometimes, and he's not all the time. It depends on what category you put him in. If you're saying Ben Simmons is one of the best scorers on the 76ers, then you're completely overrating him. But if you're not talking about his defense enough, then you should talk about his defense more because he is a really good defender. LeGoat James said, I think Luka Doncic. Just kidding, but I think that Bam Adebayo or Trae Young. I do not think Bam Adebayo is overrated at all. And I think he progressed so much from last season, and I think he's actually underrated. And I do think Trae Young is overrated, but let me get to that later. Right now, I'm talking about Bam Adebayo. The reason I think Bam Adebayo isn't overrated is because if you look at what he does for his team, he's a really good defender, arguably maybe one of the top contenders for Defensive Player of the Year. He's a good scorer. He averages 20 points per game. Very good rebounder, averages 10 rebounds per game, can pass the ball, averages 5 assists per game. So when you talk about Bam Adebayo, you cannot put him in the overrated category. As for Trae Young, though, you can put him in the overrated category for the fact that he is a horrible shooter on the field goal percentage, bro. He shoots 41% from the field, and some people talk about him like he's a top 5 point guard or he's a top 10 player in the league, which is completely not true. And the fact that some people think that he's around Luka Doncic's level is crazy because he just does so much things that you don't want him to do as far as turning the ball over, shooting percentage, and he's not very consistent a lot of times, but he does have a stretch sometimes where he goes for 40 points. There goes another Ben Simmons one. And like I said before, Ben Simmons can be overrated depending on how you talk about him. But like I said, he's a good defender, very good defender, arguably Defensive Player of the Year. So I'm not going to say he's very overrated, but he can be overrated in some particular categories. Caden said, Anthony Davis. Like I said last time, Anthony Davis is overrated depending on how some Lakers fans talk about him. Because, yeah, some people really thought he was going to be MVP coming into the season. And I thought that was completely crazy because there's a lot of really good players in the NBA. And I'm not saying Anthony Davis isn't one of them because I think he's an NBA All-Star starter, in my opinion. But he's not an MVP or not even in the MVP. He's not even in the MVP category. And then Caden said, or Tyler Hero. Like I said before, Tyler Hero was expected to do big things such as Jamal Murray this season, but he wasn't able to do those things considering the injuries and stuff. But he could have done better. And yeah, I kind of agree that Tyler Hero was overrated coming into the season. And yeah. Joel Embiid say, Gay Morant because his hair, weird haircut. Bruh, John Morant haircut isn't even that bad. I don't even know what you're talking about, bruh. Jason Tatum said Trae Young, Damian Lillard, and Bradley Beal. Okay, so I get where you're coming from with Trae Young. He's a horrible shooter. And, well, he's not horrible, but he's not very, I don't want to make it seem bad, but he's not very consistent. And you said Damian Lillard. Okay, that is completely crazy. I can see how you think some people may overrate him, but I do not think he's overrated at all. I can see because some people think Damian Lillard's better than Luka Doncic, which I can sometimes agree with depending on what you're talking about. But honestly, Damian Lillard is underrated, like considering that people aren't really taking him serious in the MVP rankings. So the fact that you think Damian Lillard is underrated is completely crazy to me. He is arguably the second best scorer in our league to Bradley Beal, who else you think is overrated. And he is one of the best passers in our league, like a top 10 passer, like just right at 10, but not top 5. And I don't know what you must be smoking on, Jason Tatum, but Damian Lillard is definitely not overrated. And then you said Bradley Beal. Now, I can see where you're coming from with the Bradley Beal thing because of how he doesn't lead his team no wins and all that. But now I think it's starting to change with the Wizards. I think they have a chance at going to the playoffs if they're playing the way they're playing right now. And he is leading the league in scoring. So but he's not very good at defense or anything else. So I can kind of see where you're coming with the Bradley Beal thing. So I guess Bradley Beal is a little bit overrated, but he's not really much overrated. New York Yankees and New York Knicks said Russell Westbrook, he has been playing garbage and shoots terrible from three and the field. Okay, so I'm not saying he's not overrated, but the fact that some of y'all think he's playing garbage is not true. He isn't playing very well compared to what he was doing last year or the year before. But he is shooting horrible. He is shooting horrible. He is overrated, so I do agree with your statement. But let's not take apart the fact that he's doing good on defense. He's doing good at passing the ball. One of the best actually, this may sound pretty bold, but I think he is the best playmaker in the league. He is also a very good rebounder, and he is also giving the Wizards a chance to get back into their groove that they never had, but get in somewhat of a groove. But he is doing horrible shooting. He's doing horrible at free throw. Yeah, he's doing bad at a lot of things. So I gotta agree with you on he is overrated. So yeah. Malcolm Brogdon said it's not Westbrook, WTF, but it's Paul George. He sucks. Woo! I'm gonna have to agree with you. He's not overrated type junk, but he is overrated if you talk about what he's been doing his entire career. People talk about Paul George as if he's equal to Kawhi, but Paul George is far from that, bro. Paul George, his whole career, has never been a really good scorer, but this season he's actually doing really good. So Paul George is not underrated, but not overrated. He's right at what he needs to be this year. People are rating him what he should be this year, but some people are talking about him like he's like averaging 30 points per game, but he's not. But he is shooting very well from three this season. So Paul George is not overrated. Bray Uzumaki said Kyrie Irving is actually a bit overrated. Dude just dribbles and threes, not many other specialties to help, bro. Oh my gosh, Kyrie is not overrated at all. Kyrie is making 28 points per game with almost 50% shooting from the field. He's switched to shooting guard, so this isn't even what he's used to doing, and he's still getting 4 rebounds per game and 5 assists per game. And the fact that people want to tell that Kyrie's overrated and that he only dribbles is completely false, bro. Get that out of here with that. That is a completely horrible take. Kyrie is not overrated. I'm not saying he's underrated at all, but I'm saying Kyrie is right where he needs to be. And the fact that some of y'all talk like he's one horrible defender is completely not true. Because if you've seen a game of the Brooklyn Nets, or if you just look at Kyrie's stats, you will see that he averages 1 steal and 1 block per game, which is completely crazy for the fact that he's not too tall and that he's averaging a block per game. Like that's crazy. And y'all think Kyrie's overrated? Like, nah.